ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
Namaste and a very good morning to one and all present here. I, Rachel Davra,
And I, Ms. Veena Twani,
welcome you all to today's morning assembly on behalf of the Women Wordsmiths. Today is 17th of September 2021 અને ગુજરાતી કેલેન્ડર પ્રમાણે આજે ભાદરવા સુદ 11 છે.
a day without prayer is a day without blessing, and a life without prayer is a life without power. With this beautiful quote, let us enlighten the divinity within us by starting with the morning prayers.
नमस्ते। लब पे आती है दुआ बन के तमन्ना मेरी। दुआ का मायना है मांगना, तमन्ना का मायना है ख्वाहिशें। इस खूबसूरत प्रार्थना से हमें यह सीखने को मिलता है कि अगर सच्चे दिल से दुआ करे, कोई नेक तमन्ना रखे, तो उसकी ख्वाहिश ज़रूर ईश्वर अल्लाह पूरी करेंगे। सबका मंगल हो। धन्यवाद।
लब पे आती है दुआ बनके तमन्ना मेरी।
लब पे आती है दुआ बनके तमन्ना मेरी।
जिंदगी शम्मा की सूरत हो खुदाया मेरी।
जिंदगी शम्मा की सूरत हो खुदाया मेरी।
पूरी दुनिया का मेरे दम से अंधेरा हो जाए।
दूर दुनिया का मेरे दम से अंधेरा हो जाए।
हर तरफ मेरे चमकने से उजाला हो जाए।
हर तरफ मेरे चमकने से उजाला हो जाए।
है मेरे दम से ही मेरे वतन की जीनत। जिस तरह फूल से आती है चमन की जीनत।
लब पे आती है दुआ बनके तमन्ना मेरी।
हो मेरा काम गरीबों की हिमायत करना।
हो मेरा काम गरीबों की हिमायत करना।
दर्दमंदों से ज़रीफ़ों से मोहब्बत करना।
दर्दमंदों से ज़ईफ़ों से मोहब्बत करना
मेरे अल्लाह बुराई से बचाना मुझको नेक जो राह हो उस राह पे चलाना मुझको लबे आती है दुआ बनके तमन्ना मेरी
जिंदगी शम्मा की सूरत हो खुदाया मेरी
लबे आती है दुआ बनके तमन्ना मेरी
तमन्ना मेरी
तमन्ना मेरी
Let's not forget that the Paralympics, just like the Olympics, are built on a rich history. Yes, you guessed it right. Today's theme is Paralympics.
Good sportsmanship goes beyond the game. It starts with helping each other. To portray this quality of a sportsperson, I invite Kavya Kakkar to recite a poem in English titled The 9 Gold Medals.
Namaste. The athletes had come from all over the country to run for the gold, for the silver and bronze. Many weeks and months of training all coming down to these games. The spectators gathered around the old field to cheer on all the young women and men. The final event of the day was approaching. Excitement grew hard to begin. The blocks were all lined up for those who would use them. The 100-yard dash and the race to be done. These were 9 reserved athletes in back of the starting line, poised for the sound of the gun. The signal was given and the pistol exploded. And so did the runners, all charging ahead. But the smallest among them, he stumbled and staggered and fell to his asphalt instead. He gave a cry in frustration and anguish. All his dreams and efforts were dashed in the dirt. But as sure as I'm standing here telling this story, the same goes for what next occurred. The 8 other runners pulled up on their heels, the ones who had trained for so long to compete. One by one, they all turned around and went back to help him, and brought the young boy to his feet. They all joined hands and continued. The 100-yard dash now reduced to a walk, and a banner above that said, "Special Olympics," could not have been more on the mark. That's how the race ended, with 9 gold medals and a standing ovation, and 9 beaming faces said more than these words ever will. Said more than these words ever will. Thank you.
You can accomplish everything that you want. if you believe in yourself and work hard for it. With this note, I call upon Pankti Amritya to deliver a motivational speech by Muniba Mazari.
Words can make you, break you, they can heal your soul, they can damage you forever. So I try to use positive words in my life wherever I go. They call it adversity, I call it opportunity. They call it weakness, I call it strength. They call me disabled, I call myself differently abled. They see my disability, I see my ability. There are some incidents in your life. Those incidents break you, deform you, but they mold you into the best version of you. And the same thing happened to me. I was 18 years old when I got married. My father wanted me to get married, and all I said was, if that makes you happy, I'll say yes. And of course, it was never a happy marriage. Just about after 2 years of getting married, about 9 years ago, I met a car accident. Somehow my husband fell asleep and the car fell into the ditch. He managed to jump out, saved himself. I'm happy for him. But I stayed inside the car and I sustained a lot of injuries. The list is a bit long, don't get scared, I'm perfectly fine now. My right arm was fractured. The wrist was fractured. My shoulder bone and collar bone were fractured. My whole rib cage was fractured, and because of the rib cage injury, my lungs and liver were badly injured. I couldn't breathe. I lost my urine and bowel control, so I have to wear the bag wherever I go, and my 3 vertebrae of my backbone were completely crushed and I was get paralyzed for the rest of my life. I finally ended up in a hospital where I stayed for 2.5 months and I underwent multiple surgeries. One day the doctor came to me and said, well, I heard you want to become an artist but you ended up becoming a housewife. I have bad news for you. You won't be able to paint again. As your wrist and arm are so deformed, you won't be able to hold a pen again. Next day, the doctor came to me and said, your spine injury is so bad, you won't be able to walk again. Because of your spine injury and the fixation you have in the back, you won't be able to give birth to a child again. That day, I was devastated. I still remember I asked my mother, why me? And that is where I started to question my existence, that why am I even alive? And that's when I realized that words have the power to heal the soul. My mother said to me that this too shall pass. God has a creative plan for you. I don't know what, but He surely has. And in all that distress and grief, Moms, those words were so magical that they kept me going. One day, I asked my brother that I'm tired of looking at these white walls in the hospital and wearing these white scraps. I'm getting tired of all of these. I want to add colors to my life. I want to do something. I want to paint. Bring me some colors, bring me a small canvas. So the very first painting I made was on my deathbed. It was not just a piece of art, or not just my passion. It was my therapy. And then I was discharged and I went back home. And I realized that I have developed a lot of pressure ulcers on my back and my hip bone. I was unable to sit. There were a lot of infections all over my body, a lot of allergies. So the doctor wanted me to get bedridden in that one confined room. For not 6 months, for not 1 year, but for 2 years, I was confined in that one small room, bedridden, looking outside the window, listening the birds chirp, and imagining that there will be a time that when we will be going out with the family and enjoying the nature. And that is where I realized that how lucky people are, but they don't even realize. So I decided that day I'm going to sit and I'm going to share this pain
I'm going to making them realize that how blessed they are and they don't even consider them lucky. That day I decided I'm going to fight my fears. We all have fears. Fear of known, fear of unknown, fear of losing people, fear of losing health, money. We want to excel in career, we want to become famous, we want to get money. We are scared all the time. So I decided, I wrote those fears one by one, and I decided I'm going to overcome these fears one at a time. You know what was my biggest fear? Divorce. I was trying to cling on this person who didn't want me anymore. But I said no. I have to make it work. But the day I realized this is nothing but my fear, I liberated myself by setting him free. My biggest fear number 2 was I won't be able to be a mother again. And that was quite devastating for me. But then I thought, there are so many children in this world and all they want is acceptance. So there is no point in crying, just go and adopt one. And that's what I did. People are afraid that they will not be accepted by the people as we are imperfects in the people of the perfect world. So I decided instead of starting an NGO for disabilities awareness, I started to appear more in public. I started to paint. I decided that I'm going to join the national TV of Pakistan as an anchor person, and I've been doing a lot of shows since the last 3 years. I became the National Goodwill Ambassador of the UN Women Pakistan, and now we speak about the rights of women and children. We talk about inclusion, diversity, gender equality, which is a must. Every time I go in public, I smile. That's big, a duty smile on my face. And people ask me, don't you get tired of smiling all the time? What's the secret? I always say them one thing. I have stopped worrying about the things and people have lost. The things and people who were meant to be with me are with me. Sometimes somebody's absence makes you a better person. Cherish that absence. It's always a blessing. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. I will repeat, be kind to yourself. Accept yourselves the way you are. Love yourself. Spread that love. Life will be hard. There will be turmoils. There will be trials. But they will only make you stronger. So, when you accept the way you are, the world recognizes you. It all starts from within.
India has made history in the Tokyo Paralympics 2020 and has brought home 19 medals, which is our highest medal tally ever. As we celebrate them, we, the wordsmiths, would like to present before you an appreciative as well as a critical point of view towards the Paralympics.
Disability need not be an obstacle to success. Stephen Hawking wrote in the first ever World Disability Report back in 2011. Paralympics is a series of international contests for athletes with disabilities. Many people don't truly appreciate the skills required to play a sport with a disability. It really is a hard work to control a chair, catch or shield a ball from the opposition, move into position without freedom of movement, and shoot without being able to use the leg lift that standing events of sports allow. And to do this when you can't see the ball clearly or hear your teammates scream instructions would doubtless add another level of complexity to an already tough experience. And this is only limited to a single sport. Different sports pose a whole different set of challenges. Playing these sports with a disability is hard enough. Competing at a Paralympic level is something else entirely.
We are all familiar with the spectacular performances of our Indian Paralympians in the recent Tokyo Paralympics. The amount of pride and recognition that they have brought to our nation is unparalleled and extremely appreciated. Here are our Paralympic winners.
Our gold winners: Sumit Antil for men's javelin throw F64 athletics, Pramod Bhagat for men's singles SL3 badminton, Krishna Nagar for men's singles SH6 badminton, Manish Narwal for P4 mixed 50 meters pistol SH1 shooting, Avni Lekhara for R2 women's 10 meter air rifle standing SH1 shooting. Our silver winners: Yogesh Kathunia for men's discus throw F56 athletics, Nishad Kumar for men's high jump T47 athletics, Mariappan Thangavelu for men's high jump T63 athletics, Praveen Kumar for men's high jump T64 athletics, Devendra Jajaria for men's javelin throw F46 athletics, Suhas Yathiraj for men's singles SL4 badminton, Singraj Adhana for P4 mixed 50 meters pistol SH1 shooting, Bhavina Patel for women's singles class 4 table tennis. Our bronze winners: Harvinder Singh for men's individual recurve open archery, Sharad Kumar for men's high jump T63 athletics, Sundar Singh Gurjar for men's javelin throw F46 athletics, Manoj Sarkar for men's singles SL3 badminton, Singraj Adhana for P1 men's 10 meter air pistol SH1 shooting, Avni Lekhara for R8 women's 50 meter rifle 3 positions SH1 shooting.
Our hearts swim with the pride and joy for the achievement of our fellow Indians.
However, disability sports scholars question the extent to which the Paralympics can empower disabled people and create meaningful change. Paralympians themselves are more likely to be empowered in their view than the wider public. The stated vision of the Paralympics is to create a more inclusive society. But can an elite sporting event that lasts 2 weeks every 4 years really bring meaningful social change?
The 2016 Paralympics trailer finished with the bold statement, "We are the superhumans." The reference to superhumans, for instance, is a form of dehumanization, and often those who cannot fit the superhuman role are instead seen as subhumans. Channel 4 has even gone so far as to use the tagline, "There is no such thing as can't." A phrase not usually expected to be taken literally, but meant to inspire hard work and perseverance. So what does this mean for the majority of disabled people? It suggests that if they had tried a little harder or were a little more positive, then perhaps they too would be super talented. But in the same way that not all able-bodied people can be Olympic athletes, neither can all disabled people.
In the Paralympics, the problem arises when the backstories being exploited are the athletes' disabilities themselves. The stigma surrounding the Paralympics makes disability appear to be a terrible tragedy that has to be overcome. Instead, it should focus on the struggles that disabled people face on a daily basis because of society's lack of acceptance.
The problem of the Paralympics surely lies with the society's overall stigma concerning disability. The lack of coverage of the Paralympics in comparison to Olympics is shocking. They appear to be treated as an add-on. They are hosted by Channel 4 rather than the BBC and placed so much later in the year that it appears that most of the viewers have forgotten. If we have multiple heats during the Olympics, would it be too far to suggest that Paralympics should happen at the same time? By separating Paralympics off so much, it perpetuates the idea that the disability of the competitor comes first, rather than its athletic prowess.
The Paralympics, no doubt, provide immense impetus to specially abled people who play sports, or in fact, to the specially abled community as a whole. However, the rhetoric surrounding the Paralympics still remains to be a problem because it focuses on the disability itself rather than the athletic prowess of the competitor. They need to be readjusted in order to give the athletes the appreciation they truly deserve for their talents.
Let's get ready for the national anthem. Assembly Savdhan.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
Assembly Vishram. Now I would like to call upon Arvi for point to socho.
11 अप्रैल 2011 को अरुणिमा सिन्हा लखनऊ से तेली आ रही थी। जब वो ट्रेन में जा रही थी तो कुछ बदमाशों ने उसकी सोने की चेन चुराने की कोशिश की, पर जब अरुणिमा ने चेन देने से मना कर दिया तो उन बदमाशों ने अरुणिमा को चलती ट्रेन से बाहर फेंक दिया। इससे भी बुरी बात तो ये थी कि जब अरुणिमा को फेंका गया तो सामने से एक ट्रेन पसार हो रही थी। अरुणिमा उस ट्रेन के साथ टकरा गई और जब दोनों ट्रेन पसार हो गई तब अरुणिमा को होश आया और उसने देखा कि उसका एक पैर पूरी तरह से कट चुका था। उसने सबसे मदद मांगी पर किसी ने उसकी मदद नहीं की। जब सुबह हुई तब कुछ लोग उसे अस्पताल ले गए। डॉक्टरों ने भी कह दिया कि अब ये लड़की कभी अपने पैरों पे नहीं चल पाएगी। बस तब से अरुणिमा सिन्हा ने दो चीज़ अपने दिमाग में ठान ली। पहली ये कि सबको गलत साबित करना है और दूसरी ये कि उसकी सबसे बड़ी कमज़ोरी को सबसे बड़ी ताकत बनाकर दुनिया की सबसे ऊंची चोटी माउंट एवरेस्ट को फतेह करना है। और बस तब से वो पूरी जी जान लगा के लगन से उसने मेहनत की और उसने माउंट एवरेस्ट को फतेह कर लिया। The story of Arunima Sinha is an inspiration for thousands of youngsters today. Her dedication, perseverance, and hard work led to taste her sweet steps of success. On hearing such inspiration story, we often get motivated and a desire to succeed and do something in life. But sometimes this desire gets evaporated quickly. Why does this desire to success gets often vanished? What can we do to keep this desire maintained? Zara socho.
With this, we come to an end of today's assembly. What we learned was these athletes weren't disabled, they were super-abled. The Olympics are where heroes are made. The Paralympics are where heroes come. We hope you all enjoyed today's assembly. Thank you for joining us.
मंदिरों में वही, मस्जिदों में वही, मंदिरों में वही, मस्जिदों में वही, कह रही है ये दुनिया प्रभु एक है, कह रही है ये दुनिया खुदा एक है। मंदिरों में वही, मस्जिदों में वही, मंदिरों में वही, मस्जिदों में वही। सागा पदनी द पग पग सनी, सागा पदनी द पग पग सनी, ग पदनी सानी दनी द पग पग पदनी सानी दनी द पग, ग 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 पदनी सानी दनी, ग पदनी सा सा सा, ग पदनी सा सा सा, ग पदनी सा सा सा। ये समझ लो कि मिट्टी के पुतले हैं हम, और मिट्टी में एक रोज मिल जाएंगे। समझ लो, ये समझ लो, ये समझ लो कि मिट्टी के पुतले हैं हम, और मिट्टी में एक रोज मिल जाएंगे। हम मुसाफिर हैं, मंजिल मगर एक है। हम मुसाफिर हैं, मंजिल मगर एक है। आने जाने का भी रास्ता एक है, आने जाने का भी रास्ता एक है। मंदिरों में वही, मस्जिदों में वही, मंदिरों में वही, मस्जिदों में वही। कह रही है ये दुनिया प्रभु एक है, कह रही है ये दुनिया खुदा एक है। मंदिरों में वही, मस्जिदों में वही, मंदिरों में वही, मस्जिदों में वही, मंदिरों में वही, मस्जिदों में वही, मंदिरों में वही, मस्जिदों में